Yeah, I kind of went out of Christianity when I was like, I don't know, like in the fourth grade, because I went to Christian school for a little bit. Just was not that into it. Um, I don't know. It was just one of those things where I never truly got into it, so it was very easy for me to get out of it.
It's one of those things where it's like, to me, it's kind of one of those things where you just kind of try to force a habit of, like, be decent at first, like when you're a kid. Like the same thing as Santa Claus, right? Like, what is Santa Claus for other than to just get kids to, like, fucking behave and not act like little shits?
Yeah.
And, you reward them for it.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking concept. It's just some people never fucking let that go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like, if you teach it as a philosophy, then I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's Christian atheists. People who follow, the teachings of the guy that they, refer to as Christ, but
the good stuff, anyway.
They don't believe in the miracles or anything like that.
Yeah.
They look at it as like, this was just a guy who kind of had the right idea. For the most part. You know what I mean? And I have respect for that. That's fucking legit.
I do somewhat.
But if you're going to sit here and be like, he's the Messiah because he turned water into wine, I'm going to be like, man, fuck you.
See, my thing is, I look on those kind of Christian atheists a little bit less than, in a lesser way than, like, full-on evangelists. People take the Bible seriously because, I mean, if you're going to believe something, believe in the whole thing that's supposed to be, teaching you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They don't believe in the religion. They believe in, like...
Yeah, but, I mean, it's kind of like, you're kind of supposed to believe the whole thing. That's kind of the point, Mm-hmm. The Bible is not just a thing where you can just pick parts that you want. It's kind of like a law book. You either follow it or you don't.
Yeah. I don't know. And like, there's some stuff in there that's like,
But it's nice for more liberal Christians to exist because they're more accepting of gays and other people and shit like that. But at the same time, they're actually going against their own religion while doing that. Yeah. And their own scriptures.
It's pretty amazing. Like, that shit's all just, like, basically a fucking giant game of telephone anyway. Because the shit wasn't even, like, fucking written until, like, 40 years after it supposedly happened. So,
yeah, and by different people.
Yeah, and it's like, I can't even fucking tell you what I had for lunch 2 weeks ago. So, what the fuck details is somebody going to remember? And, like, how do I know that the person telling the story ain't just fucking senile?
Yeah.
I
mean, they are,
Like, back in my day!
They are, like, Bronze Age desert people.
Back in my day, I saw Jesus walk across rivers. Grandpa, that was a puddle. It was deep. He got water in his sandals.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because, like, when I was in, like, 4th or 5th grade, kids would go up to me like, you don't believe in God, do you? And I'm like, no. And they were just, like, so, like, weirded out by that thought. It was weird.
That's just like, I haven't fucking seen any evidence that makes me think, oh, yeah, then that claim you made is totally fucking justified. Yeah. Like, and people always like to sit there, like, I've said this to people, like, it's not a fucking that I believe there is no God, it's that I just don't believe you when you say there is.
Yeah.
That,
and I don't see the evidence. I'm not saying there is no God, but I have not seen enough evidence to tell me that there's one existing.
Well, and the thing is, too, like, people have said, well, that's just because you made up your mind that there isn't one, and nothing that you ever see would ever be able to convince you otherwise. And I take issue with that too, because like bullshit. if your creator is really so fucking powerful, he can convince me.
Yeah.
Like it's
it wouldn't be hard.
It would be like not even a thing for this fucking supposed galactical being that created the fucking universe.
Yeah.
And you don't think that this thing could convince me that it has that kind of power?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, you're going to have to show me some magic tricks, which you can do easily, by the way. So
yeah, it's like, I'm not convinced by magic tricks, you know. Fucking
show me something crazy.
show me something that a human being is not capable of, then I'll start to listen. But like turning water into wine, walking on water and shit, fuck. I seen Chris Angel do that last week.
I think I'm actually done.
You think Chris Angel's Jesus?
Chris Angel, Jesus.
He can walk through walls, apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah.
David,
if you think Jesus was Jesus, then you have to admit that Chris Angel's Jesus too.
well, and David Blaine must be the devil because like the only thing he does is just be somewhere for a long period of time.
Yep.
That's his magic trick. Here, I can stand on this thing for a really long time. Magic.
Watch it turns out that God and the devil are just Penn and Teller. God's Penn Jillette and the devil's Teller.
Actually, I think Penn Jillette should be the devil, and God is Teller.
All right.
God doesn't speak.
But God's Teller, but Teller's actually kind of a dick to Penn.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Because they always kind of like present Penn and Teller like, you know, Teller's Penn's bitch almost.
Yeah.
When in reality, you know it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Teller's probably like slapping Penn Jillette around into the fucking trailer going like, you almost fucked up the trick this time. Don't you do it again.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to think about sometimes about like evangelists and shit like that because it's like, that shit goes pretty far.
Yeah. I read a pretty good.
I
read a pretty good quote on that. You know, in a cult, there's somebody at the top who knows it's all a scam. In a religion, that person is dead.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty deep. I'm 14 and this is deep.
14.
Yeah, there's actually like a subreddit just dedicated to that too.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, fucking deep thoughts from, you know, like teenagers and shit.
The idea from teenagers.
Yeah. And it's just called I'm 14 and this is deep.
Are you on it? Do you follow
Every once in a while I like, you know, check it out. I don't subscribe to it.
Yeah.
I just subscribe to another subreddit though called This Is My Life Now. Because it's just like animals that got stuck and they just gave up, like trying to fucking escape whatever situation they're in.
Yeah.
So like, there's a cat in this sink and it's just like sitting there, not even trying to get out. Or like a dog gets stuck between a wall and a fence because he's an idiot. You know, just shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's mostly animal gifs and shit. It's really funny. I love that. Animal gifs are dope, you know?
Yeah.
Like that little dog riding the skateboard through all those people's legs and shit. That was one of the best videos I ever saw.
Back to the God thing, though. Like, I think that there's a possibility there could be some sort of deity, but I don't know if it would be an actual Christian God.
I feel like the nature of a God itself would require it to be amoral.
Yeah.
Like, if it created everything, then that means it had to create both good and evil as a way to balance each other out. Which means that it can't be inherently good or bad. Like, everything it does would have to be dictated by logic.
Yeah.
That's the only way it could make sense. So, like, a God wouldn't actually, like, you know, care about you. It just kind of cares about, you know, making sure that the machine runs smoothly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I kind of look at it like that in the way of, like a scientist with an experiment.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is, like, what if we're just a simulation?
I don't know if about a simulation, but I wonder if, like, it's just almost like we're a fish tank.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've thought about the simulation thing every once in a while, too, because, like, you know, I've been playing around with that RPG maker.
Stop tooting.
No! I've been playing around with that RPG maker and shit, right? And, you know, it just made me realize, like, you know, I can, get these characters shit that they do, and they'll go about it whether I'm, like, watching them or not,
Uh-huh.
Like, they'll just go about doing their shit, and they'll do what I tell them to say,
Yeah.
and everything. And it's like, how the fuck do I know that I'm not just an NPC in some fucking video game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I have all these experiences that I've had and shit, but how do I know that those are real? And I'm not just, like, fucking imagining them because the code says they happen.
Yeah.
How do I know that every time I told a story, that story actually happened and it wasn't just some lines of dialogue that I was saying because a character talked to me a bunch of times? You know what I mean? Like, how do I know that I'm not just, like, going through this fucking script check?
Well, there has to be glitches, though.
There are glitches. Deja vu and shit.
Yeah.
One time, I woke up and my arm was, like, going through my chest and coming out my back.
Yeah.
Not really. I made that part up. I thought it would be funny, though. But, yeah, I mean, even if there were glitches, how would you know?
Yeah.
If you weren't programmed to notice the glitches, then you wouldn't.
But you'd see something weird.
Right, but, like, if you don't actually have, like, fucking...
You might not think they're glitches, but they might be noticeably odd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen weird shit. I've seen the yard ghost.
The yard ghost?
The yard ghost. There's a ghost that haunts my grandparents' backyard.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, when people, when people describe ghosts, they do it wrong, first of all. That's assuming that what I've seen is a ghost. I call it the yard ghost because that's literally the only thing I can think of to call it. But when people say, oh, it was transparent, it's not transparent. You don't actually see it. You see the air that it displaces.
Yeah.
Because they displace air or light or something,
Uh-huh.
Like, it's like Predator, when Predator cloaks. You don't see, like, outlines or anything like that. You just notice the movement because the light's all weird and shit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look right. It looks like a fucking distortion in space.
Yeah.
And I've seen it like 3 times, and it never does anything. It's just kind of like there.
Yeah.
But, like, my cats notice it and shit. So, like, I know I'm not crazy.
Are you able to see, like, parts of their face or their body? Like, any
no,
contours?
it's literally just like, fucking distortion.
Yeah.
It's exactly like Predator, except, like, less defined. Like, that's...
Is it at least in the shape of a person?
Vaguely. I mean...
Or is it just like a glob?
It's kind of globbish, but, like, it's not like... You couldn't look at it and know who it was or anything like that. Like, it could be fucking Slender Man for all I know.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking weird fucking distortion. And you do get the vague sense that it has some kind of awareness and shit, because, like, even if it, like, you can't see it looking at you, you get the feeling that it is.
Yeah.
Right? And again, I've only seen it like 3 times, and I've been living there for a while.
Yeah.
So it's like, fucking just this thing that shows up every once in a while. Could be an alien for all I know. I don't care. It hasn't done anything to hurt me, so I'm like, what? But it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
And I'm holding this all wrong.
Yeah, you are.
Damn it. Yeah, the yard ghost is weird.
Yeah, I've never seen a ghost.
It never comes near my door or anything like that. It's always off in, like, the corner of the yard. Maybe there's a body out there or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Go out there and find, like, Jimmy Hoffa or something. That'd be fucking crazy if I found Jimmy Hoffa.
That'd be crazy. You probably get a lot of money somehow. I would think.
Yeah.
That'd be some sort of reward for his body.
But then it would be fucked up because that might mean that somebody I know killed Jimmy Hoffa. Like
Maybe. Related to you?
Like in my family. Like, that would be fucked up if I was related to the person who
Well,
murdered
how
Jimmy
long
Hoffa.
have your grandparents been living there? Maybe it's someone that was living there previously.
Since before I was born.
Okay. In that same house?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Like, when was Jimmy Hoffa murdered?
I don't know, like the 50s or 60s?
Damn.
They can't have been living there that long.
I don't think so. They were pretty young in the 60s and 50s.
1975.
Damn.
So. Yeah.
What if Jimmy Hoffa and D.B. Cooper never actually disappeared? They just built a transportation machine or a transporter machine, right? And they went through it at the same time and fused into one person and became
Tommy Wiseau.
Tommy Wiseau.
Tommy Hoffa.
Oh God, that sounds awful. Tommy Hoffa.
Sounds like it reminds me of Tommy Bahama. And that shit's gross.
Kind of reminds me of the Tommy Knockers.
The Tommy Knockers.
Oh God, that movie sucked.
What is worse, the Landoliers or the Tommy Knockers?
Oh fuck, man! Like, I don't know. They're both kind of like the worst parts of Stephen King's shit.
For movies, anyway.
Well,
I haven't read the book, so I can't say.
The problem with the Langoliers was like it's over the top in places where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And like boring in places where it should be over the top.
Yeah.
And then the Langoliers themselves look like fucking shit.
Yeah, they do look terrible.
Like, it looks like they spent about as much money on the Langoliers effects as they did on the opening credits to the fucking Revenge of the Red Baron.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it has those kind of, like Fred and Sharon did it for him. You know what I mean? Like, who needs a movie film?
That couple.
Oh man, they were doing Adult Swim bumps for a while.
Oh really?
Yeah, like they actually caught on, like in Adult Swim, like had them do bumps and shit. But I think they got tired of being made fun of because they realized that people weren't putting them up because they were good.
Yeah.
You know,
They had to. I knew it was weird because at first they kind of really did think that they were good.
Yeah.
They truly thought
they
that.
thought they were professionals. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I mean, props for at least, you know, trying.
Yeah,
shit,
you know,
like,
be positive about it. You want to make videos, that's totally cool. That's fine. I'm not going to knock you for
But
that.
like, you know, I hope that you charge reasonably.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hope you charge reasonably, but also I'll just admit that your videos aren't very well made, sir.
I personally wouldn't pay him to do it.
No.
But it worked for Adult Swim bumps and shit. But I think they realized that people didn't like actually think it was good, and they were just like
They're doing it
putting them up because it was
sarcastically.
funny. Yeah, because it's funny, you know, in an ironic sort of way, not to sound like a hipster about it,
Yeah.
but like, you know, just like kind of like it's so bad it's good type of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think
What
that's
about
what they wanted.
animation?
Oh god. And that fucking witch, that goddamn
the
witch.
Okay. And then she just leaves.
Yeah, they like show these examples of their terrible editing and shit. Like I wasn't sure they were serious, honestly.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because they keep showing these parts that they should obviously be cutting out.
Yeah, it's like really, really bad. That what about animation?
Yeah.
And then like at the end they show this horrible fucking animated dragon
In the water.
But they've only animated like 4 frames of this fucking dragon, and it's like horribly tracked, so you can see it like just overlaps the footage.
Yeah.
Right? And it just doesn't look good at all. Oh man. But yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like Fred and Sharon did the special effects for the Langoliers. The Tommy Knockers is just like everything is wrong with the Tommy Knockers. I don't think there's a single thing about the Tommy Knockers that isn't wrong. Like everything about it is just terrible. First of all, what the fuck kind of name is Tommy Knockers?
Yeah, it is an odd name.
It has nothing to do with anything in the story. Then it's like everybody in town is turning crazy because of the goo, and then like these dolls and shit.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know where to begin. Like I don't understand the plot to that movie.
I don't quite get it either. And then there's somewhere like there's an alien in the end somewhere.
Well, yeah, like but it's just like really this sucks. You know. Like, don't get me wrong, Stephen King's written some cool shit, you know?
Of course.
It was dope. Fucking, and I don't give a shit that Stephen King doesn't like it. The fucking
original
Stanley Kubrick version of The Shining was dope.
Yeah, Jimmy Smits. You tell me now.
I fucking saw the produced by Stephen King remake of The Shining.
The TV miniseries.
Yeah, the made for Sci-Fi Channel, and it was awful.
It is garbage.
Like it was just everything about it was bad.
It sucked because
and then they like had this horrible little like cameo of Stephen King, fucking orchestrating, looking like Lou Who. You know, just fucking.
Well, I hated it, and it was so weird because remember that chick Allison I went with?
Uh-huh.
She liked that version, and she did not like the Stanley Kubrick version, and so it was just I knew she was just like, you're stupid.
Yeah, right.
You're just dumb.
I just don't understand how like you can watch that and be all like, Jack Nicholson's not as good as this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I kind of understand where, Stephen King comes from, going like, well, it's not quite like what I'd written.
No.
It's like, good.
It doesn't have to be.
If it had been up to you, man, we would have been treated to a fucking half hour of Jack fucking eating clam chowder somewhere in a restaurant, thinking about some Scooby-Doo lunchbox toting friend of his back in like grade school and shit, and how his friend was a psychic. Oh yeah, bet that's not gonna come into play later, right?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, he's an alcoholic writer from Maine.
Yeah. I just think that the original Shining was just made so well.
It was just a fucking fantastic movie. I'll admit, I watched the movie before I read the book. But here's the thing. I don't like reading Stephen King books.
Yeah, you don't?
I don't. Like, I respect the man as an author because, like, once he does get into his stories, they are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But my problem is that he spends too much time building the world.
Uh-huh.
Like, don't get me wrong. You should make it so I'm there in the moment and shit. But, like, there's too much detail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he goes way too into it.
You would not like a book I read, which is the book about American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. He'll spend pages on a tie.
Yeah, that's exactly what... Like, but Stephen King, he does that with, like, fucking clam chowder and shit. People go into a fucking diner, and he's just, like, noticing the fucking, like, stitching on the waitress's dress or something and shit. And then thinking about, like, how he's a recovering alcoholic and how Maine is and shit, you know? And just, like, talking about, like, all the fucking standard Stephen King tropes and shit. And it's like, dude, just get to the fucking story.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't mean, don't get me wrong, I expect a few pages of setup and everything.
Yeah.
And, do what you gotta do. But if it's not gonna come into play later, just say your thing about it and move on.
Yeah, I think you should mention atmosphere.
Yeah.
Maybe some minor things so you can get a basic idea of what this place is like.
Yeah, you can.
But you don't need to go into every tiny little detail.
Yeah, you can give details, but like I don't need to hear about the stitching on the waitress's fucking uniform.
Yeah.
If it's not going to come into play later.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not that hard of a concept to figure out. If it doesn't fucking matter later on, then just be like, oh, she was wearing this dress with this stitching. Move on.
Yeah.
I don't need 4 paragraphs about the way the stitching was.
Yeah.
And that's what I get a lot of out of fucking Stephen King shit. He over details it, which for some people I get it. That's great, and that's cool, if that's the way you like to read and shit. But like to me, it's kind of distracting. Like you're overloading, and it's kind of taken away from the scene. I don't need to know that. So why are you?
It breaks the flow.
Like that's the problem I have with it. And that's why it's better for me to watch the movie forms and shit.
Yeah.
And I thought that Stanley Kubrick's version of The Shining was excellent.
It is.
I
agree.
did not care for the made-for-TV one. That one was just fucking terrible. Objectively so. Like, I will not even fucking submit that that's a fucking opinion, man. Like, to me...
Yeah.
Like...
There's no contest.
Yeah, it's just not even... Oh, you're going to show fucking doorknob turning on its own and shit every once in a while. Stanley Kubrick's version had a dead naked lady, right?
Yeah. Which they sort of did, I think, in the TV version, but it wasn't as good.
It wasn't as graphic.
No.
Oh, and by the way, that bit with the whole dog blowing the dude, did you have that? That was a creepy moment, man.
Yeah, the dog suit.
Yeah. Like, it's done in music videos and shit now.
Rad Rob.
That, and then they were like, fucking, what's his face? His little imaginary friend was him in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, Stephen King stories always have to have a stupid ending. That's the other thing, though. They always have a stupid ending.
I don't know. I haven't read well, but well, I guess they could be different. I don't really know because I haven't really read that many of his books, really any.
Like the only time I've ever heard him be like humble about it and shit though, was like that movie.
I've heard he's really really nice.
I don't know, man. Like
I've heard he reads fan mail and shit like all the time.
That's pretty cool and shit. Like. I guess I can't say that I have anything personal against him. It's just like, you know, the fucking stories he writes, you know, like he gives me a lot of superfluous details that I don't need, and it bugs me, and I get annoyed by it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and I do disagree with him. I think that Stanley Kubrick's Shining was the, you know, fucking best Stephen King movie by far.
Yeah, I liked him in Creepshow.
You want to end that anymore?
Where he had the green mold, grass stuff growing on him.
Yeah. See, it's just like, you know, fucking. I feel like he was a dick about the Shining, you know.
Yeah.
But I can get it at the same time, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's his original work.
But it's just like, you know, if I wrote something and then a director, like, changed a couple of things about it, but ultimately it was better.
Or at least, like, or at least maybe not better, but at least good.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know, man. Like, I've read The Shining, too, and I think it was a better movie.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I said, man, Stephen King has pacing issues. At least for me.
Yeah.
You know, I like a certain pace, you know. Fucking tell me about the scene and move on to the scene.
That's why I'm better at writing scripts, because I feel like with a book I have to go in too much detail, and I'm a person who likes writing dialogue.
Yeah. I almost like just writing hateful narration.
Yeah.
Like, I've noticed that the way I write about characters is kind of fucking douchey.
Yeah, you told me about that.
You know, like the whole fucking thing about those characters being so white.
Yeah.
And like he has the whitest name ever, which is Sebastian.
Yeah.
Like there's no fucking like you can't be cool and have a name like Sebastian.
No, it's pretty much impossible.
Like you're just gonna be the dude on the fucking Newport ads. You hang out at tennis courts, bumming smokes.
Hanging out with Swap Meet Louie.
Yep. There's one woman who always lets you bum one of her Virginia Slims.
Virginia Slims. Paul Malls.
Oh God, there was a guy who used to get fucking violently angry at me when I worked at Casey's.
Really?
Yeah. This guy would get violently angry because, like, he would come in and he would order Pall Malls, right?
Yeah.
He would come in and be like, I need a pack of Pall Malls. I'd be like, you mean Pall Malls? And he'd be like, it's Pall Malls! And he'd, like, pound on the fucking counter. He would get so angry about it. And every time I'd be like, okay, dude, chill. Here's your Pall Malls. Help me $7, please. And he'd like give me the stink eye the whole time as he paid me. He like wouldn't break eye contact, but he'd count out the money. And he always paid an exact change, which was really weird. You know what I mean? But like he would give me the stink eye, and then he would come in like a day later and be like, "Pack a pow mouse," and the cycle would repeat itself. But I could never figure it out. Like, I always did it just to fuck with him. And it was the same every goddamn time. But he would always just get really, really mad that somebody would mispronounce his brand. Right? Even though he's the only person that I ever heard say
they're Pall Mall.
Like, look at how it's spelled, dude. It's Pall Mall. Like, it's not that hard to figure out. Like, you don't get an ah sound from two L's, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is not how it works, you know? Not unless, like, you have, like, a fucking...
Not unless they're Pall Malls or something. But I don't
Still,
think
it's,
so.
like, weird. Like, he would get so angry about
Yeah,
it.
that is funny.
Like, he would fucking go into a fucking Hulk rage, you know what I mean? Like, it just, ew. He got so fucking defensive about it. Like, he was the guy who came up with the name or something like that, and everybody started mispronouncing it, and even the company, like, added 2 extra L's just so people wouldn't sound stupid when they ordered Pall Malls, and then they fired him because he wanted them to go back. So he's just been roaming the country trying to get people to believe his story that he's the guy who created Pall Malls, and they changed the name and fired him for trying to change it back. We just solved the mystery. We can close the case.
The Hardy Boys are on the case.
My clue is pointing that way.
The raging clue.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't remember really dealing with too many weird customers when I worked. I remember when I worked at a theatrical shop for a month during holiday season.
Yeah.
There was like a little jar of like a little weird rubber alien inside of it.
Yeah.
And there's like a little kid with his, mom and dad came in, to get his costume, and he looks at it and he whispers to his mom, "Mommy, I can see his weenus." That was pretty funny. I had to laugh at that.
Yeah. Oh, man. Fucked up customer story. I worked at this movie theater.
Yeah.
On Merle Road. One that showed, like, second run movies, like, right before they go on DVD.
Nova?
Yeah, that's the one. Right? I was working there one day, just, at concessions, making popcorn, giving people tickets, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So, I'm working one day, and this guy comes in, and he just, like, stands there in the middle of the lobby. Just stands perfectly still, and starts puking.
Yeah.
Right? It looked like this guy had been living on a diet exclusively consisting of UV blue and toothpaste.
Okay.
Right? Like, this guy just pukes blue. Like, he straight up just, like, put the Smurfs in a blender and drank them. Okay? Like, this motherfucker pukes blue all over the fucking theater, right? Just, like, all over the fucking lobby. And we're all just standing there in horror. And this guy, like, fucking stands back up, turns his happy ass, and walks right back out.
Yeah.
And we all just kind of, like, stand there for, like, 10 seconds. And my manager's like, "You gotta clean that up, Brandon." And I'm just like, what the fuck?
That's gross.
Because literally it was just like the dude drank mouthwash and ate toothpaste.
That's weird.
Like, that's what it looked like. It was.
I haven't had blue puke, but I've had blue shit.
Blue shit?
I have.
Do tell.
I was working at Gamers, and there was a place right next to it called Maggie Moo's.
Oh boy.
And they sold ice cream, essentially. And they had this one that was like... It was like a blue cotton candy bubblegum ice cream. And it was pure blue. So I had... I went over there for... Was it lunch or dinner or something like that? On my break. Went over there, had it. It had marshmallows in it, too. So I had it. And then when I came home, I take a shit. And I swear to God, on my life, it was blue.
What?
I mean, that shit went right through me.
Damn.
Yeah.
Was
If
it
I
cold
wish
still?
I wish I had a cell phone, Because I would have taken a picture of it, but I didn't at the time.
Maybe you should go there and get some more.
It's not around anymore.
What?
And it was a limited edition thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn.
So it's one of those things I'll never be able to get to witness again.
Damn. Maybe
Unless I can find...
they discontinued it because it turned people's shit blue.
Maybe.
That wouldn't be something that they would heavily advertise. You know? It turns your poo blue.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Come to Maggie Boo's and turn your poo blue.
Yeah, crazy public stories.
Crazy public stories, huh?
Anything from your childhood, anything in public that happened. That was crazy.
Oh, man. Well, what was that story I told you before about, like, the dude who wouldn't stop, like, fucking rubbing his ass on me?
Yeah, tell that story.
At that show. Yeah, I went and saw Naughty by Nature. They had their, 25th anniversary tour, right? So me and some friends went to that shit, and there was this dude. And, him and his girlfriend, I assume it was his girlfriend because it would have been really weird for him to be kissing his mom like that.
Yeah. Because
she was like an older lady, too, right? But she kind of looked like Shrek. Or like, fucking Rampage Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Just fucking mean-looking Miss Piggy-ish lady. And, they were drunk and they were making out and shit and doing all kinds of stupid fucking dancing. And for the most part, it was kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, they're fucking doing their own thing and shit. But then this dude started fucking, like, doing that, like, rub your ass on somebody dance. But he was doing it on me instead of on this chick. And I kept on, like, nudging him, like, get the fuck off me, man.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? And it would have been one thing if you would have turned around and been like, oh, sorry, bro, I didn't mean to hit you like that, Because it was just like, oh, fuck, I know, it's a concert, people party. It happens. Just don't do it again, It'd be fine if that happened. But apparently, my friend said something to him, too, and he told him, oh, it's only going to get worse and shit, right? So this guy won't stop fucking rubbing his ass on me, even though I'm like, pushing him with my arm, like, get the fuck off, And eventually my friend Joe gets mad and just, like, shoves him and shit. And then Shrek gets in his face to fucking protect him and shit. Like, it was ridiculous, and it fucking ruined the show, man. Like, I didn't fucking...
How long did you have to deal with that?
I don't know, man. Like, I just fucking wound up going over to the bar and getting something to drink just to get away from the people, But yeah, it was just like the rest of the night was kind of a bust because they didn't even bring on like the main act until like 11, and this was on a Tuesday evening, and I had to work the next morning. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then when Naughty by Nature comes out, they don't even play any of their original shit. They're playing, like, DMX songs and shit.
Really?
Yeah. And I was just like, what the hell, I came to see you guys' show. Like, play your own songs. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell?
How did everybody else feel?
I don't know. I wound up leaving. But, yeah, $20 well spent. I mean, I suppose if you're a huge Naughty by Nature fan, it's still dope to see them. But, like, it just kind of felt like... I paid $20 to go see a group that honestly hasn't been huge since the 90s.
Yeah.
Basically function as a cover band and get ass rubbed by some dude. Like, he didn't even say sorry, Like, that's the thing.
I've never had a bad experience really at a concert.
Neither have I. Like most concerts,
the Psycho Stick one.
Yeah, where they wouldn't let you mosh. They wouldn't let anybody mosh because somebody pulled a knife at a concert and
was that it?
Ruined everything. Yeah, like so many places won't allow moshing because of shit like that.
I think that's the only one actually. That was kind of the weird thing because I know vaudeville music can.
Well, House of Bricks ain't around anymore.
No,
so,
not really. It should have gone away.
Yeah.
Now we have Woolies, which you can mosh there.
Yeah. Woolies is where that show was at.
Yeah. That place is pretty awesome, I think.
Yeah. But
I went to go see Ministry there.
Yeah. It's a nice venue and shit. But yeah, it was just kind of like, fucking disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like, the guy didn't fucking take the hint that, hey, man, like, stop rubbing your ass on me. It's kind of weird.
It is weird.
But, like...
So he was just some little black dude with some fat white chick?
Yeah. And she had, like, a foot on him easy. Like, she was towering above him. Like, she was taller than I am, dude.
That's funny.
Like, he was just, like, this little skinny Urkel-looking motherfucker.
With this gargantuan woman?
Yeah.
That's funny.
He looked like hipster Urkel. You know what I mean? Like, if Steve Urkel was, like, a millennial hipster and spent a lot of time at, like, fucking artisan cheese houses... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With his fucking iced latte, and he's always wearing a scarf.
A winter scarf?
It's like 90 degrees out, and he's still wearing it. He has a handlebar mustache. Like, this guy didn't have a handlebar mustache, but you get what I'm saying. He looked like hipster Urkel. And, it was just douchey. Fucking, like, get off.
I've never really had that problem at a concert.
Yeah. Most of my weird concert experiences have been, for the most part...
You have some pretty odd ones. I mean, you had the bird shit on you.
Yeah, there was the time that we went to that Freestone Sour show where it was like...
You and Ryan did that. I wasn't there.
Yeah, it wasn't really like a free show. Like, technically, it was they had... a kid that they were trying to raise money for his, like, cancer treatment and shit, which is cool. So they passed around a bucket, for you to throw any money you could into. So it wasn't technically free. You had, not like a donation to make, but
yeah,
it was still like, all right.
That's fine. This
fucking bird, as I'm waiting in line, dies above me.
Yeah.
And when animals die, they, like, shit themselves. And this bird dies above me and shits on my shoulder. Right? Like, I look up and I just see a dead bird. So I see the fucking culprit, and the culprit's already fucking dead. So I can't even, like, throw a rock at it or anything. Like, how fucked is that?
Or you even yell at it. You can't even
yell
at it.
Yeah, I can't even, like, fucking yell at it or anything.
You go up yelling at anything.
Like, it's just like, ugh.
That's funny.
It's fucked up, man. And then I was at that ICP show. I was wearing a gorilla costume. I was with Clank. And there was that, like, couple that they, like, poked my shoulder. I turned around, and the dude grabbed my arm and put it on the chick's tit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, what the deal was there, but it was kind of weird. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Can't really think of any weird situations for me for right now. Well, I could tell the gorilla story.
Oh, yeah?
I think I've told you this story. I know I've told you this story. I had to go... like second grade, I had to go and do a big project on gorillas. So my mom, being nice, she actually took me all the way to Omaha Zoo for it, so I could learn, as much as I could.
Dope.
So I went over there. I actually even had a little buzz cut that kind of made me look like a little gorilla. And so, I was over there, and she was there too, but she was looking at some bats and shit that was near the gorilla section. And I was just staring at this one gorilla. And at the time when I first got in, it was pretty busy. Like, there was a ton of people in there.
Right.
So they were all, you know how that is lined up where they have, like, very large windows. So you can see the whole room.
Yeah.
All over. There's just, like, little posts in between the windows. So there was, like, all these people in this one post because there was the one gorilla. He was just sitting right up against the window.
Yeah.
Just sitting there. And all these ladies would stand up, and I was like maybe 5-6 feet away from him looking at him. Mm-hmm. And all these old ladies were like standing up right next to the window, staring at him. But at the same time, he was staring right the fuck back at me. And every time somebody got in his way, he would try to find a way to move his head so he could keep looking at me. And he did it every time, and even the old ladies noticed, like, they're looking at, they noticed that we were looking at each other. And so, we kept staring at each other, and eventually the ladies left, and the place was fairly empty. It was pretty much like just me and him. And I got up closer, because he wasn't doing anything, and I kept staring at him, and staring at him, and staring at him. We were just staring at each other. And at one point, he just gets the fuck up on his fucking feet and bangs both of his fists on the fucking window. And he gets fucking pissed. And I bolt the fuck out of there. I'm running the fuck away. I was so scared that he broke through and would have caught me or some shit. But luckily he never did.
Oh, man. I had a fucking emu steal my shoelace at the fucking Omaha Zoo. That was fucked up.
I saw an emu piss one time.
Oh, yeah?
Gross.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be gross. I've never seen a bird piss before.
It was like milk.
Ew.
It was gross.
That sounds nasty. Nasty.
Another time, we saw a bat piss. Like, it was a big bat. It was pissing like this orange shit.
Was he doing it while he was like upside down?
Yeah, kind of. And it was weird because right when that happened, there was a bunch of people going, like, pull up their cameras like, oh, they had to take a picture of it. It was so weird. It was like one of the weirdest things I ever saw because I was just a little kid with my mom.
Can you imagine?
And we saw it from kind of a distance. So there's a bunch of people, right up in front of us, but we still saw it. And all these people, right when it pisses, people are like, holy shit, you pull up their fucking cameras.
Can you imagine, like, being kidnapped by aliens, right? And they put you in, like, a galactic zoo, and you've got, like, a little, like, urinal area. So every time you go over to piss, the aliens looking at you through the glass, whip out their cameras and start taking pictures.
That'd be pretty weird. Like some aliens doing that to you.
Yep. It'd be really funny if there was like a race of aliens that was like really, really into photography and shit. And they were just kind of like the galactic tourists. Like a Japanese family at Disneyland.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Mickey Mouse.
Like, yeah, it would be fucking hilarious though. Just aliens fucking taking pictures while you piss.
Imagine like putting you in a cage with another like human woman, and like they like you have sex, and all of a sudden they open the blinds and there's like a sliding walkway with people just taking pictures and shit. Like other aliens.
They put up signs.
Bringing their kid aliens to show them how the humans have sex.
The kid alien is just texting.
Or you take a picture.
Come on, do it. Click. Fucking gross. Be cool though. They probably they could probably get you a pretty hot chick.
Maybe they wouldn't care that much.
Maybe they'd like build a robot.
Maybe they wouldn't know that they would, and they'd find some ugly 50-year-old woman because they don't understand that after a certain amount of years women can't procreate.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Humans just become like pandas, and the reason is because it's Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Oh man, yeah, she's pretty gross.
She is pretty nasty.
she's kind of like Alopecia DeGarmo's like somewhat classier cousin. who like went to community college and made something of herself.
Ann Coulter would be pretty nasty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like her, but I do think S.E. Cupp is pretty good looking. She does have a weird name, though. S.E. Cupp.
Like she runs a tattoo business out of her basement.
Who?
Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She runs a tattoo parlor in her basement, an illegal one, right? And she uses needles that she bought in a garage sale at Courtney Love's house.
And all of her used rags are from Tom Arnold's house.
She has one of Elvis Presley's ashtrays.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Gross.